Well, hello everyone again, and welcome to another exciting episode of Fun with Radiation on the Third World Garage channel. Now, for our last broadcast, we dealt with this Soviet or Ukrainian or made Sintex radiometer. Now, I've looked into things a little bit more with these, and it is really not working. But here I'll go over some of the functions. This 0 and 1, 1 is on, 0 is off. Kind of like the old time computers used to have. And this right here, this changes the range, this button. Feels kind of awful and sad, like the repression of communism when you press it. But it has 3 different ranges. There's 0.01 to 9.99, 0.1 to 99.9, and 1 to 999 in milliröntgen per hour. So that's what that is all stand for. This is not in sievert, it's in milliröntgen. So what we need to do now is we need to figure out why doesn't it work. I haven't been in this thing yet. I have no idea. I do have a Russian or Ukrainian schematic, but unfortunately it doesn't help me as much as it should, because even though my ancestry it does come from that part of the world, I do not speak the language other than to say "niet" and "я не понимаю по-русски," or I don't speak Russian. So let's see what we got here. We got these little wax seals here to seal the screws. So that tells me this thing was probably inventoried in 1993 in Ukraine and pretty much just stayed on a shelf somewhere, because the Soviets loved to make excess inventory of everything. That's why you can still 60 years later, 70 years later, get Mosin Nagant ammo brand new in the Russian packaging, dating from World War II, because they made that much of it. Even being bombed and everything else, they still made an absolute crap ton of the stuff. And the same goes for pretty much any other kind of Russian ammunition or other military surplus type items. It's very common because they overproduced it. They felt that it was more important to keep people employed than to produce things in the right amounts. So they went bankrupt. They went by the labor theory of value. They did not, which did not really have price discovery like it normally would in a capitalist society. And it was kind of a flawed model, although they kind of went away from it a little bit during the 30s when they all of a sudden started putting a high price on education because they were graduating too many doctors and lawyers and not enough regular, factory workers, because who the hell wants to be a factory worker in the Soviet Union? So they needed to, gain people who could do ditch digging, so we'll just call these people enemies of the state and make them dig the ditches until they pass out and die. We can afford to, lose a few million people. But yay, communism. And should really be using something more efficient, but unfortunately my normal Soviet screwdriver that came with my other Geiger counter kit is flat-bladed. But here we go. Use this one from MedWrench, I think. There's a medical equipment repair forum or magazine. And this is like an amazingly cheap grade of plastic. You can even see this is textured. Battery cover is not textured. the design took a back seat to everything else. And here we have our problem, I think. Yep, we have a broken Geiger-Müller tube. Fortunately, though, it's an SBM20. And there's our high voltage coil. And unfortunately, that is broken. But come over here in this pile of parts, and there's another SBM20, or actually a STS5 from 1968. And this right here is an Arduino based Geiger counter kit that I built some time ago. And I'll just try taking the tube out of that one and putting it in our classic piece of Soviet stuff. Oh wow, that is really quite awful. It's got these little plastic standoffs here. Yeah. Oh, here's the other one. It just couldn't be bothered to do things the right way. Now I'm going to say that's probably the way it goes, but let's take this. Oh, it's got a plus on that. Let's see here. That's interesting though that it's wrapped up in this piece of paper. Actually, that's not paper. That's lead. Very thin lead shielding here. I'm going to have to wash my hands after doing this. But our tube does not appear to have any markings on it, other than that plus on this side, and that faced up. So, hopefully my hair's not getting in the way. Let's see and figure this out. For those wondering what's inside one of these, here we have a bunch of Soviet-made integrated circuit chips and an extremely simple contact switch. And just a crude little piece of plastic that pushes on it. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. And so, yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and get our little standoffs out, which seem to be made up of surplus plastic and sadness. I might have to send this video to the eBay seller in Ukraine and explain the situation. See if I can get another tube out of it. But let's go ahead, and unfortunately this tube does not appear to be repairable. Now, if you don't know how these things work, basically there's a wire going up the center, and there's a charge on it, either that wire or the outer casing. When a particle enters, it creates a path inside this vacuum that wire is inside of, and that's what it registers a click when it connects these two with an arc. That's why they use very high voltage. It's not very high amperage, but it's very high voltage. So let's try putting that in there, and then we'll go ahead and put the casing back on. I think it goes this way. Yeah. Now let's go ahead and put batteries in it and see if it'll work before I screw it back together. There we go. Voila. Unfortunately, though, I threw off the physics because our lead shielding's not on that tube. Interesting, huh? Now let's try our radium sample. .38 reading, and then it'll go back again and start again. Remember, we're not just picking up the gammas anymore. We're picking up some beta, because that lead was acting as a beta shield. So if you do this type of repair, remember. Oh wow, we are picking up lots of radiation now. 3.11 milliroentgen per hour. But anyway, let's go ahead and turn this off. And then, since I can actually leave the batteries in it, I'm going to go ahead and very carefully put our little red button back in it. And I'll stick something underneath it so that, actually, I'm going to use some Chinese solder. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can. Then we'll go ahead and we've got our 4 plastic standoffs. One goes in each corner. And then all we got to do is find our screwdriver here. Now, I'm probably going to communicate with the eBay seller, but he has every right to tell me to pound sand. Because I should not have taken the device apart. But you know what? It takes so long to get stuff from that part of the world to the horrible backward places like Florida that I live in. So, yeah. Anyways, here we go. Put our little wood screw in there, because I don't think that it's not a specialized plastic screw, it's just a wood screw. So here we go. Turn it on. See, now we have a much more sensitive setting. And that's our most sensitive setting. Let's see here. Do I have another Geiger counter around here? Anyways, I'm going to put this on hold for a second. Okay, second's over. What I'm going to do is use this one, which is a far more sensitive unit. And we'll turn both of them on at the same time. Now this is an alpha sensitive meter, the Rad Alert 50. So it's alpha, beta, and gamma. But the thing is that the tube that's in it is very small. It's an end window tube. So this is saying 1.8 during the sample period. Let's do another sample period with the okay, try it one more time. It's going to sample over 1 minute. And again, this is radium 226 in this clock from the watch hands. And that was used as a doping agent for the phosphors to make them glow in the dark. Now, the radium eventually burns up all of the phosphors. Let's see where it is on the first time. We got 0.353 milliröntgen per hour on the Rad Alert 50. Now, let's try, we'll try our little bit of Soviet awesomeness here. And you can see that it actually gets quite a few more counts than the Rad Alert 50 does. But it's reading a much lower radiation dose. So, who knows? I don't know. Anyway, that's been the video on repairing the Sintex dosimeter from the former Soviet Union. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. If you can think of anything that you would like to have seen me do differently with this piece, let me know. Anyway, have a good day. Thank you.